Explore Edisto with Botany Bay Ecotours. Owned and operated by local biologist Meg Hoyle, Botany Bay Ecotours are crafted to help people enjoy and understand the amazing plants and animals that make this area their home. Botany Bay Ecotours has much to offer, including kayak tours as well as dolphin and sunset cruises by motorboat. Call today to schedule an ecotour during your next visit to Edisto and use the code ATW for a discount. Visit Botany Bay Ecotours online at botanybayplantation.com.
The Combahee River is part of a larger river basin known as the Ace Basin. Three rivers, the Ashepoo, Combahee, and Edisto, wind through about 350,000 acres of land. Ashepoo, Combahee, and Edisto were all Native American tribes in this area 400 years ago. All three rivers are classified as blackwater, which means they get their start in cypress swamps. Cypress trees have tannins in their leaves and wood, which makes them rot resistant, and the tannins dye the water a dark color. Just like steeping a tea bag in water releases tannins and colors the water, the cypress trees stain the water, and that's where the name Blackwater comes from. Like the other rivers in the Ace Basin, the freshwater Combahee flows out to St. Helena Sound and the Atlantic Ocean. The area where the fresh and salt water meet is known as an estuary. The Ace Basin Estuary is the largest undeveloped estuary on the east coast of the United States. Because of the blend of fresh and salt water and the protected nature of estuaries, they are incubators of life. Plant and animal species are abundant and diverse in the Ace Basin Estuary. Today, animals such as dolphin, bald eagles, and migratory shorebirds attract wildlife watchers from around the world to this estuary. Fishing for red drum, flounder, and tarpon attracts sportsmen and sportswomen alike. But this area is not just rich in natural history, it is also rich in cultural history. With the arrival of European colonists came a new system of using the estuary. Growing rice requires raising the water level as the rice plant grows. The water keeps the seed head of the rice erect so it won't get weighted down and fall over in the mud and rot. The cypress swamps of the upper Ace Basin were dug out by enslaved people to be below the water levels of the Ashepoo, Combahee, and Edisto rivers. A trunk, originally made from hollow cypress logs, was put under the bank of the rice fields. A gate on the end could be opened to allow the freshwater tide to flood the field or drain the field as needed. A rice plantation was called a great hydrologic machine, with 6 miles of drainage canals for every 50 acres of rice under cultivation. When the plantations along the Combahee River were under rice cultivation, it would have looked very different. The banks of the rice field were kept clean of any other vegetation so that competing plant seeds wouldn't drop into the rice field. In 1861, at the start of the War between the states, the Union Army captured Hilton Head and Otter Island along St. Helena Sound. Robert E. Lee pulled the Confederate troops away from the islands along the coast and up the freshwater rivers. So while cotton cultivation ceased, rice cultivation continued. Harriet Tubman, who had escaped as a slave in 1849 in Maryland, made her way to the St. Helena region in the 1860s. She conducted reconnaissance to learn about Confederate troop movements and worked to recruit escaped slaves into the Union Army. Along with Union commanders, Tubman planned the Combahee Ferry raid. They sailed 3 Navy gunboats up the Combahee River under the cover of night in June 1863. At Fields Point on the Combahee River, Union soldiers disembarked and drove off the Confederate pickets who were standing guard along the river. The ships continued up the Combahee and burned the ferry crossing on the river, disabling Confederate movements in that region. Smaller boats were sent ashore to free the slaves from the rice plantations. Reports of that night described the chaos and fear as people tried to get on board and were afraid that the full boats wouldn't come back for them. Accounts indicate that Harriet Tubman sang on the bow of one of the gunboats to help calm the people and let them know that they were there to rescue them from slavery. The gunships freed between 700 and 750 slaves during this one mission. It was the most successful raid of its type during the war. 150 years later, Harriet Tubman is still credited with being the only woman in U.S. history to plan and execute a military raid.
If you enjoyed this video, see how much we enjoyed making it, as well as learning how to paddleboard in our next video, the making of the Combahee River and raid at Combahee Ferry.